You're all jumping on. So fun. Oh my goodness. I was just over on the YouTube channel watching Lisa Bonjean. This is her grand opening. And it's really fun to see it. And I'm so excited. I'm going there October 17th to 20th. And we're going to talk about how you can go there too. But we're not going to do that right now. We're going to just focus on, I got all this amazing content I want to share with you. We are going to be solving some major problems today. Like, are you ready? Because I'm telling you, this topic is so important because it really is keeping you from achieving the results that you want in your life. Like, truly, I know that what I'm going to teach you today is going to be so significant in your life, not just for weight loss, it's for everything. So let's get going. I've got this incredible slideshow to share with you. It's fun for me to prepare these things for you. And I think so much about you all. I'm so invested in your success. And I just want to shout you out right now for all of you ladies who are on this. I'm shouting you out for prioritizing yourself and your brain when you've been hiding from it for so long. So congratulations, way to go, way to show up for yourself. I love that you're here, and that's saying a lot about you. So that is awesome. So welcome. And I just love to see where you're all from. So I see some new names on here that I don't even know, which is super fun. So tell me where you're from, put it in the chat. There's a little chat feature on there, and I'd like to get to know you. Also, I just want to encourage you to turn off your all your notifications on your phone. I want you to get out a piece of paper. I'm a big fan of the journals. So get out a journal so that you don't lose that piece of paper, because we know that piece of paper gets lost because there's going to be so many things that you are not going to want to forget. So by the way, Door County, I don't know where that is in Wisconsin, but I want to tell you that we're going to be I'm going to Wisconsin. I'm taking this on the road. So I know that one of the ladies that's in here, she's coming. And so I think there's several others that are also going to be coming that are currently here. Oh, so it's not far from Lisa's. So have you been to Lisa's? All right. Nice to see you, Barbara. So good. All right. So yes, so you need to come. Be so good. All right. I just want to tell you that I don't actually care how much you weigh. I really don't care. And in fact, how much you weigh has nothing to do with your weight. And so last week we talked about the Beatles had it all figured out. All you need is love. My program is called Love Yourself. And that's why the Beatles are on the screen. Because truly, I want to tell you, all you need is love. So good. Now, I want you to see, where do you fall in here? So what do you want when you make a goal? Okay, so many of these ladies that I work with, all of them are like, this is what I want. You want it to be easy and doable. You don't want challenges or obstacles. My husband always says, I don't want to do a job to do a job. Okay, who's with me? You want to wiggle your nose and it's done. How many times have I heard clients say, I just want to just like on the show. It shouldn't be hard. You're like, I don't want it to be hard. It's already done. I just want it to be done. I just want to say, I want this thing and I want it done. I just want someone to do it for me. I just want simple steps. I don't want to have to struggle. I don't want to have to do all this. I don't want to have to, get messy or whatever that is. I just want the quilt. I just want the finished product. So the other thing you want when you make a goal is you don't want to have problems meeting the goal. Because so many times when you have a problem, you're like, oh my gosh, I'm such a failure, right? You don't want to feel that way about yourself, okay? You want to be generally happy. I mean, we make goals. Why do we make goals? So put it in the chat. Why would you make a goal? Like, why would you buy, oh my goodness, yesterday I saw just talking about Lisa, she's on my brain. There's a beautiful new fat quarter bundle. It has like beautiful grays and everything. And oh, I could just see it on a master bed. I have a white bed, and I have a white bedroom with beautiful coffered ceiling. That was my husband's, one of his COVID projects. And I'm like, ooh, that would look so pretty, right? So I have a goal to make my room really pretty. I want things to be a certain way. So if you're on here, you probably have some sort of weight loss goal. So what is the reason you have that goal? Okay, you want to be generally happy. You don't want to be exhausted. You don't want to hate your life. So we make goals because we have a desired outcome. I want to have a beautiful bedroom, and I think it's really beautiful if I have finished quilts on it. Okay, so that's why we make goals. Now, I'm going to ask you, so you can be ready. There's 3 different categories, and this came from a book called Finish by John Acuff. He's also done a TED Talk. There's some YouTube videos you can learn from him. So are you group A, group B, or group C? I made a goal, and then by January 3rd, I failed. So I just quit. And I'm just hoping that January, I'll be smarter and better. Okay, who's A? Or are you B? Some make goals. Okay, you made some goals at the beginning of the year, and every time you don't meet them, you're like, oh, what's wrong with you? Why didn't you figure this out yet? You should have figured this out already. By this time in your life, like, why are we still doing this? And you are really mean to yourself. And so by like March or April, you're like so exhausted. You're like, I'm not doing this anymore. Forget it. Okay. So are you A, B, or are you C? So you make goals and you work towards them, evaluating and assessing as you go. You get support for them as you go because you are all into growth. All right. So what I'm doing here is I'm not using these A, B, or C to judge you. And I don't want you to do that to yourself because you've been doing that for so long and it hasn't served you, obviously. Okay. It doesn't serve anybody. It's not just you. So I want you to think about, why do you think you fall in the category that you do? Like, what would be the reason to be in category A? Was it because you weren't being like very self-aware? Were you thinking that the goal is what makes you happy, not the process of getting to that goal? Did you put your self-worth on the line if you don't reach that goal? Like, what is it? And then in group B, it's like, why do you think you turn to being so negative to yourself? Why is that a go-to? Was it because you're treating yourself like a child and that was a parent relationship or authority figure? Like, what is it about that is causing those results for you? And then let's go to group C. So, and by the way, I want to congratulate people who are willing to be daring on the chat. And you don't have to, don't feel any pressure. I was talking to a lady yesterday about coming to my my class today. And she's like, oh, that's way too out of my comfort zone. So I totally get it. And even the fact that you're here and that you figured out Zoom and all of that, I just want to shout you out. That's so awesome. So I want you to just get curious about yourself of why you fall in each one of those categories and use this as a tool, not as a punishment. Okay. Because heaven knows we've been punishing ourselves for too long. Okay, so what you have done to get those results. So when you look at all the different ways, what are the things that you do to get results? Do you buy a lot of programs? Are you really strict and mean to yourself? Do you compare yourself to others? Think, well, my sister is so much better, or, so-and-so down the road, or that lady at the guild, she always has all these amazing things to share. Do you compare yourself to others? Do you give yourself incentives to lose weight? Do you do a lot of bargaining with yourself? Like, okay, if you get this done, then you're allowed to. And do you use food or shopping as a reward? Right? Do you do the fresh start where you're like, okay, I'm just going to start fresh. I'm just going to throw everything else that I was doing out before, and I'm just going to start fresh. Do you do that? Do you rebel? Do you say, I don't really care, but really you do? Okay. Do you procrastinate for the right time to accomplish something? Do you get joy from helping others, but never find your own joy? Such a good question. And we're going to talk a little bit about people pleasing here in just a bit. Do you spend money on programs and processes that don't work? So it kind of going along with buying lots of programs. You just keep like throwing spaghetti at the wall and saying, well, hopefully that'll work. Hopefully that'll work. Okay. Oh, look, I can do it either way. All right. So why you haven't experienced the desired results yet. So I want you to think about this for yourself. And I have the chat open. So if you have any questions at all, if there's anything you want to ask me about, please feel free to write it in the chat. I want this to be interactive. I want, this is totally for you. I know your brains. You're like, no, but I'm different. No, I know your brains. We're all, of course, unique and different, but there are so many basics that are the same that really do help you. Okay. All right. So why you haven't experienced the desired result yet? So you rely on other people's truths. So if you're always buying programs, you're saying, okay, I'm going to give you all the authority. I mean, talk about a diet, right? I'm a weight loss coach for quilters, but I do not sell you diets. I sell you a process of learning how to eat food and work through all of that yourself. You don't work through the problems. So remember we talked about here, you do a lot of the fresh start. So that is one of the biggest problems I see is that we say, oh, it didn't work, so I'm going to start something else. So that's that kind of that all or nothing thinking when we talk about perfectionism. But the problem with that is you don't give yourself the opportunity to evaluate what went well, what didn't go well, and what can I do better next time. So just like a scientist who says, well, I'd like to build a light bulb. I'd like to have something where I don't need to burn oil or have fire hazards. I'd like to put a string of lights on a Christmas tree and not burn the Christmas tree down, right? So luckily that person didn't say, well, I better just start from scratch every time, because we're always learning as we go. So how many of us are guilty of that, right? So often. So if we do this clean slate thing and say, well, I'm just going to try all over again, then we never learn, we never progress, and we never can get it right. So it's just like squaring up a block. Can you imagine if you made a quilt and you made the 48 blocks or however many blocks you made, 49, and you took the block and you had to square it up. And you're like, oh, I messed up. I'm just going to have to throw this thing away. No, you just learn how to square up, and you just learn to break it down. So even when you make your half square triangles or your flying geese or whatever that is, then you can just get better and better until you have less to square up. And so you're just getting so much better at the process. Okay. It's the same thing with us and our brains, and the same thing with our goals. So negative self-talk is super destructive. Sticks and stones will break my bones, but names will never hurt me. That is not true. There is a reason why we have so much mental health problems in our society today. It's because we have not spent any time cleaning up our brain and all the negative thoughts. It has been very destructive, and it's led to so many more problems than we've never had before. And it's because we are not cleaning up our negative self-talk. Are we talking to ourselves the way we would talk to a friend? So if we are doing that, then we are truly just giving ourselves so many more problems than we even know what to do with. Okay. So a lot of the things that we do are not sustainable. We think I'm going to wake up, I'm going to do this, I'm going to budget my time. Right? We don't, it's not a sustainable way to live. We're not being realistic with what is achievable and what's not. So if we put like 25 things on our list and we're saying we don't realize it's going to take me 30 minutes to do the one thing and 20 minutes to do another thing and an hour and a half to do the other thing. And we've put down literally a list that would take a normal person or a regular person or even a superwoman like you, 40 hours. Like you're putting down, it's very unrealistic, and you're not. And the problem is when you do this fresh start approach, then you're not learning that, I thought it took me 20 minutes, but it actually takes me 40. So now I'm going to adjust and readjust my plan and set myself up success. So we're not dealing with the actual problems. Okay. So we think if I complete this goal, then I can feel good about myself. So you're making your goal be your litmus test of like how worthy you are, which is actually a lie because our worth is already set. It has nothing to do with that. We give up quickly, so don't figure it out. And then we have a lot of resistance, reacting and avoiding the issues. So I want you, just as you look at this list, just taking a moment to see what's going on for you. I know I'm going really quickly. I have so much I want to share with you. So why you haven't experienced the desired results yet. And don't worry, this is going to be recorded. You can watch it over and over again. It's totally worth watching over and over again. It's so beneficial. So we have we have two parts of our brain. We have our higher brain, which is our CEO brain that wants to solve all the problems for us. But our survival brain we have lots of different names for it, but it does help us survive. And its main thing is wanting us to stay safe, seek pleasure, and avoid pain. So what does that look like when the operating manual is focused on the motivational triad? Okay. So if we're seeking pleasure, what does seeking pleasure activities look like? Lots of eating donuts, lots of watching Netflix and those kinds of things. It's a lot of, if something gets hard, we walk away. Okay. So if we don't like binding, we're like, it looks like a closet full of unbound quilts. It looks like a closet full of a lot of unfinished quilt projects because we're like, oh, I didn't like squaring up the blocks. Okay. So what are yours? Okay. So avoiding pain, our lower brain wants us to avoid pain, which is great. You're like, thank you. But what does that look like in your life? Again, it's like, I don't want to have that difficult conversation with that person. So I'm just going to avoid that part. But then the problem is you're going to have all the pain afterwards. And it's like, I don't want to, avoid pain of like finishing the quilt, but now you're going to have the pain of having a closet full of unfinished quilt projects and all those negative thoughts. So you're just like expanding it more and more for yourself. And conserving energy. Who doesn't like a cute quilt pic? I mean, a cat pic, right? So conserving energy says, don't do the hard thing. Don't go and finish that project. Don't troubleshoot it. Just go buy new fabric. That's way more fun, right? And you can just let your kids deal with the stash when you die. Okay. So this is what I'm talking about. So our lower brain wants us to do these things. And in some ways it's very helpful. But as you can see in my examples, we're never going to get any quilt projects done. We're never going to have a clean house, and we're never going to learn how to have a body that we feel comfortable in. Okay. So let me introduce myself 18 minutes into the webinar. So my name is Dara Thomason, and as you can see, I've had many different variations of my size. And so I've actually lost 50 pounds without counting calories or exercising using the tools that I teach in my Love Yourself Thin program, which we're going to be talking about later. So that's me. All right. So what to do to accomplish your goals by 2021? So many of us think that if we haven't done it at the beginning, we should just let go and we should just forget about it. So I'm going to talk about 3 different ways that we're going to be able to accomplish our goals by 2021. And really look at it. So today is, I think there's 15 more weeks until the end of the year. There is a lot of things we can do in 15 weeks, right? So many things. So the first thing we want to do is we're going to actually make a goal. So science shows that when you actually write down a goal, you're that much quicker and actually realistically thinking that you're going to make that goal. So how many of us have actually written down a goal? You can raise your hand, right? Have you actually written the goal? And I want you to ask yourself yes or no. And then if you haven't, why? So right now in my current program, I'm teaching, and there's going to be a bonus that you want to stay for the end of how you can be on this, but I have you can also be included in this. That's what I'm saying, is we are losing 8 pounds this month. So that's 2 pounds a week. And there has been a lot of resistance from a lot of the ladies, even ladies who have lost 100 pounds, 50 pounds, 60 pounds, They're like, oh, but 8 pounds in 1 month and to dictate it and all of that, because writing it down, there's going to be some backlash, which is not a problem. Okay. I don't see anyone in the chat. Am I like not keeping up with the chat? So please feel free to add it. I'm sharing a screen, so I'm not sure if that's why. All right. So one, we have to make a goal. We have to actually write it down. Even right now, as you're listening to me, ladies, I keep these cue cards right beside in my desk, and I got tape, and I write down goals. Okay. I write them down and I post them. I do that kind of stuff because I don't want to live a life where I'm just like every day is going to be the same. I'm not interested in a Groundhog's Day kind of life. Our goal is more than just a to-do list. Absolutely. A goal is I will weigh 8 pounds less by the end of the month. I will finish this quilt, and this quilt. A to-do list is just maybe to kind of guide you to getting to where you want to go. But a goal, absolutely. And in my program, and I know you're in my program, we haven't got there yet, but really breaking down how we work on goals is going to be so helpful. But I do want to just remind you, there are the clean and dirty goals. And that is one of the very first things I teach in my program. Okay. So you make a goal. Everyone has to decide that there's going to be a desired outcome. Okay. Now, this one is going to involve a little bit of discomfort. You're going to be sitting on your chair, maybe a little uncomfortable, and that is no problem. In fact, that's showing me that you're listening and you're working from your higher brain, your CEO brain, that's going to really help you. Okay. So you got to stop hiding from yourself. And I call this, how do you play hide and seek with yourself? Okay. I love playing hide and seek when I was a kid. So what do you do to hide from yourself? Do you use food? Do you fixate on food? Do you use food as like, this is the pleasure, or as a distraction? Do you really stay busy? What are the ways that you stay busy in your life? What about social media? How much time are you spending scrolling? How much time are you doing that? What about shopping? Are you going out to shop? Are you just staying in to shop? And there's nothing wrong with, by the way, I just want to say, there's nothing wrong with food, being busy, social media, shopping. Well, we're going to talk about people pleasing in a moment, but it's like, if you're using those things, if you hadn't planned to do that in your life, you didn't plan to eat those things, then you're using that to hide from yourself. You're using that as kind of a scapegoat for not feeling your feelings. Okay. People pleasing. And I do want to bring this up. This is really, I will be doing a future podcast on this, but I do want to just read a few questions to see if you're here, because maybe you're not as self-aware, especially if you're hiding a lot from yourself. You don't have a lot of self-awareness. That's why you're here. And that's why I'm here to help you. So I want you just to listen to my list here and ask yourself, is that you? So you're afraid of being rejected or abandoned. You're preoccupied about what others think and feel. You're fearful of saying no, setting limits, or seeming mean. You're hungry for the approval of others. You're stuck in relationships where you give more than what you get. You're overworked because of an overdeveloped sense of personal responsibility. You're neglectful of your own needs. You're exhausted, overbooked, and burned out trying to take care of others. You're buried under a never-ending to-do list. You feel guilty saying no, and you're worried about what others think. So if you said yes to more than 2 of those things, you've been hiding from yourself, using people pleasing to not show up for who you are. And we've talked about the negative self-talk and how absolutely destructive that is for your mental, physical, and emotional health. And so if you are not talking to if you are talking to yourself, and you would be completely mortified if you said those things to a friend or to a grandchild or to even a person at the grocery store, then we got to clean that up. because that is not serving you. And that is having a lot of detrimental effects on your life. Are you spending a lot of time comparing and despairing? She has this, she's better at this. Why can't I be more like her? What is wrong with me? That's compare and despair. Are you looking to the past to see if, like, I can't do that. I've never been able to lose weight in the past, or I've never been able to, really get that free motion quilting nailed down, right? Are you looking to the past to prove that you can be someone in the future? Are you going to the, I'm not good enough? Because I'm not good enough, I better just, settle. Like, really ask yourself that. And do you go to the blame people or circumstances? Like, if I would have had a better mother, if I would have gone to a better school, if my family would have had more money, if I would have, done this, like, are you going to that? Because then it's taking all your own power away from yourself to create the kind of life that you want. So are you blaming health? Sorry, are you hiding away from health? Like, I don't feel so good. Are you hiding from that rather than like taking care of yourself? Like, I had bursitis in my hip for years and I never could run. And I never really dealt with the problem that I had. And once I dealt with the problem, I can run again. And because I was blaming like a symptom, like, oh, I have a bad back. Well, I got to tell you something, ladies. Our pain is actually an indication of like we're not taking care of ourselves. So fibromyalgia, arthritis, thyroid issues, all of that stems from not taking care of ourselves. Okay. So if we're not, and obviously there's some things where, if you got in a car accident or whatever, and we've had some injuries and they exasperate that, and we have that issue, we can deal with that issue. But I would say majority of the problems we're having are from us not taking care of ourselves. So that's why I can help women overcome like arthritis and fibromyalgia and all those kinds of things, because we're actually starting to deal with what's really going on. Do we blame genes and hormones? Well, menopause has nothing to do with weight loss. I'm telling you that. Perimenopause has nothing to do with weight loss. Your genes don't have anything to do with weight loss. Okay. It's our thinking patterns that we pass on from genes to from one generation to the other. But truthfully, there's only 2 reasons we're overweight. Okay. So you're going to rely on, so this is the third thing we need to do to create our goals and get those goals for 2021. By the end of the year, we have 15 weeks left. So you rely on your own unique self. So what is the difference between learning from others and being like others? So if we go back to our people pleasing and our perfectionism and all of those things, what is it that's keeping you from relying on your own uniqueness? So how you show up in one way is how you show up in other ways. So if and a lot of my clients, they're all very successful in so many different areas of their life. But when it comes to weight loss, they just feel completely deflated. And when I can teach them that really, like, they do have the skills to do it, they just haven't learned to see it in that way. And then when I can actually teach them the thinking about our thinking skills and starting to see what's happening in our brain, then we can create the goals that we want for ourselves. But like I just was saying about how do you hide from yourself? It's like, well, that person is better, or this person. Well, so what we need to do is we need to learn how to rely on our own unique self. We all have unique, amazing qualities. And one of the things that came up on the coaching call yesterday in my group is one of the ladies was talking about when she was, her kids were growing up, she finally learned to say to herself, what do I want? Because I want you to think about this, ladies, how much of your life has been prescribed unintentionally, but like, I'm going to grow up, I'm going to get, maybe get an education, get married, have some kids, raise wonderful kids, be a grandma, have a career maybe. But like, where was that along the line of like, who do I want to be? And the fact that you're here tells me that you're a quilter, and a quilter, that's one of the ways that we can actually fill our own bucket. It's a creative outlet. It's something that is unique to us. So I have 5 children. And when my youngest was 2, I started teaching at the local quilt shop because I felt like I was being eaten. Like everyone was like, Mom, I need you. Mom, I need you. Wife, I need you. Community member, I need you. And I was doing everything for everyone else. And I wasn't doing anything to fulfill me in a way that made me unique. I wasn't just, Seth's mom or Matthew's wife or whatever. And, Doug's daughter or Diane's daughter or, whoever's sibling, like all of I was being everything for everyone else, but I wasn't being very much for me. Okay. So I started learning I want to take care of me. And that is what I'm seeing in my program and the process with my ladies. So we tend to fall into some traps of saying, well, that person looks really successful, so I should be like her. All right. So what I want you to do, and I do want you to, when you watch the replay or, don't put pause on this yet, but I want you to think about if you could trade places with anybody else, who would it be and why? But this is the part I want you to get really specific. It's like, because I want to be outgoing like her. I want to be easygoing. I want to be funny. I really like that she's this. I really like that she's that. And so it's not that you want to be her, but you like certain characteristic traits that she has. And that's something you may want to emulate for your life. Okay. So it was an interesting example. I moved to a different church. We moved to a different city. So I went to the local church that I belong to, and we lived there for 3 years. And at the end of 3 years, there was a lady who approached me and she said, for a while there, I was very resentful of you because I'd lived in this, I'd been going to this church for so many years. And within 6 months, you knew everybody's name, everyone knew you. And I just felt really inadequate. She said, but then I eventually realized that you have different gifts. I have a gift of sociability. I'm very outgoing. I love people and I love being connected. And that's really important. She goes, but I realize I have my own gifts. So I want you to know, and I want you to ask yourself this next question: how is the world better because you are here? And if you have a difficult time answering that, I invite you to really think why. Why don't you do that? Because I want to tell you, how we define self-esteem? You know how we know what your self-esteem is? It's literally all the thoughts that you have about yourself. So if I was to say, okay, let's go 10 minutes, I'm going to put my timer on for 5 minutes, and I want you to write down all the thoughts that you have about yourself. What would those thoughts be? I'm really interesting. I'm super fun. I have a lot to share. My opinions matter. Or are they like, I can do dishes. I make sure that the laundry's done. I don't ever really respond to emails. Like my desk is really messy. Like, what are all the thoughts that you have about yourself? And whatever those thoughts are, that is your collection of this is who I am. Truthfully. And the best news about that is whatever thoughts you're having about yourself are totally in your control, because you get to decide if you're going to think them or not. They might come, right? Like we have 60,000 thoughts a day, right? We have a lot of old programming. We hear, what our mother said, or what a school teacher said about our singing voice, or whatever a boss said once in our first job, said something about being sloppy or something. So we have these thoughts, and we have other thoughts like, oh, I wonder what she's going to think about me. And we always get to decide what we want to think about them and what they're going to make us mean. So one of my best analogies, some of you might have heard this, but think about going on at a grocery store. Okay. So you're at the grocery store and you've got your kid or your grandkid or your nephew or just some kid, random kid, just keeps putting chocolate bars on the conveyor belt, or starts putting like parsnips. You don't even like parsnips, or starts putting like Tide, or toilet paper. They start putting all this stuff on your grocery the conveyor belt, the teller is bringing in all your groceries and you're like, wait a minute, I'm not buying that. That is not for me. So it's the same thing with thoughts. So we have thoughts will come to us. And sometimes, we've got lots of marketing. There's a lot of, people pay a lot of money to get people to put thoughts into your head. And so, but ultimately we are the ones who decide if we're going to believe those or not. So we're going to start having filters in our brain saying, is that true or not? Am I going to keep that thought or not? Does that thought serve me or not? Right? That's totally what we're going to do. Okay. So I want you to just spend some time with this, because when we make goals, and going back to the beginning, we make goal. Okay. So let me just keep on this. So why it works. So why do those three things work is because when we rely on others for our worth, we will always fall short. Because when they do compliment us, when they do say, oh yeah, you're amazing, if we don't believe them, then it's just words. It makes no difference. Oh, you're so talented. You're like, yeah, but we have to start believing that for ourselves. And the other reason why when you learn these skills, you build your own foundation of belief, which makes us now independent. So people can say whatever they want, and we're not like at the whim or mercy of what they say. And then the other reason why this works and the skills are developed is we make goals that we want for us and not what we think we should. And we also, I think that's in the next slide. So why this works is because we start living the lives that how we want to live them. We're not living it to some prescribed, like, you got to do this, then I got to do this, you got to do this. You can be your own person. Okay. We can then start troubleshooting for our own problems. So now we're not worrying about what other people think, and we're not making goals mean anything about like our worth, because our worth is already set. We're literally making goals because we're like, what would be more fun in life? And I don't know if you've watched my last training, but I talked about how goals are really for us to learn to grow. So there is no life where you will be 100% utopia. Because like I always say, if that was true, like if it meant all you needed to do to be happy was to be skinny and to be rich, then there would be a lot of movie stars and rich people that, have really thin bodies. They would be at like a different league than us. No. So even movie stars who are really thin and really rich, they literally still have life is 50-50. And when they believe that they have to keep making more money they're like, well, I guess I need to make more money then, or I guess I need to have more abs. Then they're on this really terrible treadmill of trying to prove themselves and trying to figure that out. Whereas I want you to take my word for it. I talk about it more in my program, but in order to have a healthy, well-balanced life truly is going to be 50% happy and 50% not happy. And so when you figure out the weight loss thing, so I'm wearing a size 6 jeans and I don't have all the weight drama anymore. So that part of my life is good, but I have other parts of my life that aren't. And that's normal. That means I'm a healthy human being. Okay. So we also become now independent for no longer seeking approval or permission. We literally are just making goals because we're like, what would be more fun? I'm all in for growth. Like I've always wanted to, learn some free motion quilting. Yeah, maybe that's what I'll do. Or I always like, that just sounds like it'd be more fun to like actually just quilt my own quilts and not always have other people do my quilts for me. And then also not have to spend this much money and all the other things. Okay. So why this works, results expected. So I want you to think about this. I want you to think about if you made goals just because you think they'd be more fun and just because you want to like up level your life and be like, yeah, I think it'd be really fun to free motion quilt my own quilts. Yeah. I think it'd be really fun for me to like make I have some bucket list quilts. What is that one? Farmer's Wife. It's pretty cool, right? It would really expand my piecing skills. So think about if you got these results and if you got these skills that I've been talking about in the 3 things we need to do to make our goals by the end of 2021, who will you be when you go to a wedding? So what is the norm? What is the like current self? Oh, I can't go to the wedding. I don't have anything to wear. People are going to judge me. I'm going to have to feel so uncomfortable. Why did I let my body go? What's so wrong with me? Why can't I take care of myself? Why didn't I figure this out already? Okay. Does that play out? Or who are you going to be when you go to a family dinner? It's like, oh my goodness, I haven't seen these people in so long. They're going to know that I gained that 4 pounds or whatever pounds. They're going to judge me. This is so terrible. Okay. I know this firsthand. And then who are you going to be when you go to a quilting retreat? Like what happens to you? How do you transform when you learn the skill of caring more about what you think of you than what other people think of you? When you have the skill of, I make goals because I want to grow, not because the goal itself will make me be a better person. Your worth is already set. It's like literally, I say this to everybody, like at the beginning of the webinar, I don't care how much you weigh. And in fact, until you can accept how much you weigh, you're never going to lose weight permanently. You've got to understand why you gained the weight. What was it? Why do you keep turning to the food in the first place? And until you figure that out, you're just gonna, you could use deprivation and lose weight again. And that will be really crappy, right? And then you're just going to put it all back on again because you're so exhausted. You're going to be like by April, May, you're just like, oh, this is so exhausting. You put the weight back on. You never actually solved the problem. Okay. So that's our training for today. You are a better person. Okay. So write down the goal, stop hiding from yourself, and embrace your own uniqueness. That's how you're going to get some goals done by 2021. 15 weeks. That's it. You can do a lot of things in 15 weeks. Okay. So I want you to ask yourself, first of all, you are a better person for attending. I know it. I gave you so much value in here. It was like a bit of a fast pace, but I want you to ask yourself, what was your biggest takeaway from today? And even there are ladies in here that have been my client for over a year. And I bet you that even just watching today, you've heard something differently, something happened different in your brain. Okay. So what is your biggest takeaway from today, right now? Even write it down, get that cue card out. So I want you to, how will this training affect your life moving forward? I love that you took this time for yourself in this training. And I like permanent change means that you learned, and learn means that you do something different. So what are you actually going to do different today that you didn't do before? And maybe it literally is just like, you know what, I'm just going to drink water. Like I'm just going to like eat. Like we didn't talk into strategies here, but I'm just giving you some examples. Like I'm just going to, for the next 3 days, I'm just going to eat and pay attention to the food I'm eating. And if I'm feeling full, I'm going to stop. I'm going to stop hiding from myself, right? I'm going to write down a goal. Like I'm just going to eat and not feel full, like not feel like overfull. So maybe your goal is, that's your goal and you're hiding. So that means you have to be conscious now when you're eating, and then you embrace your own uniqueness. So what is that? Like, are there other areas in your life where you've been really successful in like being self-aware and looking at that and saying, well, what did I do in the past? And how is that going to help me? Right now, we're looking to the past to help you because you are a successful person. The fact that you're even on a Zoom call means you have a lot of success. You have literacy, you have the ability to work out computer things, you can be on schedule, you can make a plan, you can get like, you're already like amazing. Okay. All right. So now that we've done the training and I want you to take that time, I'm going to talk to you about how can you become a person that shows up for yourself more powerfully than you ever have before. You can stop hiding from yourself. You can actually believe that you can make a goal and you can reach it by the end of the year. Okay. So I have a program called Love Yourself Thin, and I am actually going to be teaching it over a 3-day period, October 18th, 19th, and 20th at Lisa Bonjean's Retreat Center. I have a process that takes you from how to eat to losing the weight and taking it off. So I have a way to do that, and I'm going to teach it live for the first time so you get the big picture. And then I have 2 weeks, 2 times a week where I have live coaching calls with you, and I support your learning. And this goes until January 12th, 2022. Okay. And I also have a money back guarantee where you will lose 12 pounds and learn the way to keep going, taking that weight off. Okay. So here is a picture of the retreat center. I still haven't got inside pictures yet. They're still sending them to me. If you can't come live, you can come virtually. So I have the tech support and everything that's needed for you to attend live. It's going to be from 9 until 5 every day, and there will be an hour break. We're also going to be doing some work within that, but you will definitely need to have that time if you want to come live. I will have all the recordings, and in fact, I do have all of the modules recorded already, and so you can get that. And then, of course, you'll have access to those. All the classes will be recorded live, and they'll be archived in our private Facebook group that we have for that. Okay. So my live event, October 18th to 20th with support. So you can either come virtually or you can come live, which would be so much fun. We're going to be stitching at night, and we'll be going over to Lisa's shop, and we'll just really be like connecting with each other. So you can come. So it's $3,000. So that does not include the accommodations. They are very reasonable, and the air that's on you. But so $3,000 for this process. And you can go right now and you can go purchase it. It's on my website, Love Yourself Thin program. You get the PayPal link and just pay. I would love to shout you out on this call. It's so much fun for me to watch. I started this group program last October, and women are getting results faster and faster. I have one lady that she came 2 months, about just under 2 months before we even started the program. And I let her in on all of my bonus materials. And with doing that, and at this date, and we're at week 8 on my program, she has lost 37 pounds. So it is so doable. Women are like losing weight faster and faster the more we do this. And even women that started last October who did my 12-week program, they are at 50 or so pounds. And they've been being able to keep it off. Some women have lost the 20 pounds in the 12 weeks, and they just are on keeping it off because they haven't been keeping up with like the live calls. Because this really is a process of like cleaning up your brain. Once you do laundry, it's never finished. You're always doing it. And so we're working on our brain, which I will be talking about how I can support you with that also. So the Love Yourself Thin process, just so that you can kind of get the overview, is we learn that weight loss science is actually simple. Then we learn how all that works. So it's no longer a mystery. It's not like confusing. And then you learn how to create your own protocol. I teach you how to do that. I teach you the tools. I teach you how to troubleshoot your own food plan. Then after we work through all of the weight loss science part and just really demystifying like how this all works in our bodies and hormones and all of that, then we go into the second phase, which is emotions help us and that you don't have to be afraid of them. So we understand why we buffer. So why we play hide and seek with ourselves. We understand why that's happening. And then we learn how to take total ownership for ourselves, our own responsibility. I call the triple P: perfectionism, people pleasing, and procrastination. And so we work through all of that. We teach you how to troubleshoot for yourself. And I have these tools that will help you reinforce all of these skills as we go along. And then the third phase of Loving Yourself Thin is that our thoughts actually create our results. So that self-fulfilling prophecy is true. So what we think eventually becomes our result line. So if we're thinking a lot of things unconsciously, then we're getting a lot of unconscious results. So if you're like, I don't even know how I've gained all this weight. I don't even know how I have all these terrible relationships with people. I don't even know how I'm like, feel so resentful all the time. It's because you haven't been taught how to think about your thinking, how to really slow everything down and become present in your life. So I'm going to teach you how to really get those results that you want in your life. I'm going to help you build self-confidence. So just like I said in the webinar, how all of our current thoughts about ourselves are a reflection of how we think about ourselves. But if we have been living unintentionally, then of course, we're like on default mode, okay? And then I'm going to teach you how to create goals and achieve them, which is, there's so many ways that you can go to achieving that for yourself. Okay, so here I am, just outside my studio here. Results of the Love Yourself Thin process. Guess what? You're going to understand why you're overweight and unhappy with your life, or why you're not living the life that you thought you were going to live. And you're going to, like, truly, these tools are literally ways to build a life that you want. And so the results of the Love Yourself Thin process is that you're no longer a crash test dummy for your life. You can actually live the life you want to live. And it's not, you're not at the mercy of what other people say or what other people do. So how do I guarantee success? I have helped so many quilters lose weight and keep it off. So one of the ways it's been so helpful is we have group coaching. So now you're no longer feel alone. You take the shame out of weight loss. It's so relatable. There's so many other women that are suffering and having the same struggles, and you get support from each other. You learn from each other. You can rally with each other. You get ideas from what's working from others. So you learn faster and faster from others. Okay. So this all can be yours when you pay the $3,000. You go to Love Yourself Thin. And if you're Canadian though, I will send you a separate invoice because you will pay in Canadian fees, and you will also pay the Canadian taxes that are assigned to that. And if you're from other countries, then you pay in the American fund. You get the 2 weeks of live coaching. And in fact, you will get 3 live coaching calls. One is to work through our goals on the Monday. And then you have the group call Wednesdays and Fridays to help you. You're going to guaranteed weight loss. So another way that I have implemented in my program to help guarantee your success is you get a private Facebook group. So in that private Facebook group, you will get access to me. I say 24/7 because at any point, if anything's happening 3 in the morning or whatever, you're having a thought, you can just put it into the group and say, Dara, tell me what you think. And then when I wake up and I have my scheduled time to go on Facebook, I will respond to you. Okay. So you can expect to have a response. You get support from each other. You can learn from each other again, rally with each other, get ideas of what's working, and you learn so much faster. So you will get the live event or virtually. So then you get the big picture of how do you learn to love yourself thin? How does it all work together? And then we get to work with me seeing your brain of these live coaching calls to help you. And of course, there's the money back guarantee. So another way that I have really thought about how to help you solidify the results in your life is that you will start immediately to getting into my Monday group. And right now, what I'm doing in my Monday group is I'm helping you lose 2 pounds a week. And then in October, we're focusing on buffering. We're really deep diving into the hide and seek game. Why are you buffering? What are you doing? And then you get access to all my previous courses. And I have so many, like time management, menopause, desire, all of those ones, those courses that have helped so many women have the results that they're having right now. So you get the live event, you get to have virtual or live, you get the supporting live coaching calls from me, and you get that all through Thanksgiving and Halloween and Christmas and New Year's. And you get such a head start because we're starting right now, right today. As soon as you pay. So if anyone has signed up, just let me know because I can call you out on this call. You can start immediately of losing the 2 pounds a week. Okay. And you can start coming to the Monday call. So this is something I've never been able to do, and I don't think I'll ever be able to do it again. This is not a sales pitch. This is just how the stars aligned. but I have one of my clients who has lost 30 some pounds, and she is now becoming certified at life coach school. She is amazing. And she is supporting my business in coming and coaching you one-on-one at no additional charge. I will eventually have this at an additional charge, but I will have no additional charge. So if you sign up today for this program, you will get a one-on-one coach until we go into the live event, so that you can now get a real head start on your unique problems, and she can help you start losing the weight now and supporting you as you watch the coaching calls of how to lose 2 pounds a week. So, and you can get your support right away. So for $3,000, you can start right now, and you can get ahead of the game for the Love Yourself In. And it's a month from now, just over a month from now that's happening. And you'll be able to get, in fact, she has agreed to do 6 weeks with you of one-on-one coaching. And then you can come right in and you can watch all the replays already, get caught. You don't even have to get caught up, but to learn how to do the 2 pounds a week. Okay. And it is a money back guarantee. I guarantee you that you will lose 12 pounds in 12 weeks. And that's minimum. You will, most ladies will lose 20 pounds or so. So there is zero risk. So I want you to ask me any questions that you have about that. Also, I do want to say that, another things that some other supports that I put in place to have your success, because I am I'm highly interested. Like, it is the most important thing that you have success in my program. So I'm always looking at how to improve it and how to help you. And so you get a one-on-one 6 weeks personal check-in time with me. I actually did them last on Tuesday, and I have 3 in a row coming up right after this webinar. And you can bring that to me, that we can talk about anything. Also, if there's anything that comes up with weight loss that is that comes up to like a sexual nature, there was like molestation or child abuse or any of those things, you do have the opportunity to have office hours with me, and I will work with you. I've helped so many women overcome why they have weight on. It's a way to protect themselves, and I'm very sensitive about that, and I am well versed in helping you work through that. I also have the 12-step perfection recovery program that has helped so many women literally overcome so many of those issues. And if you go to my podcast this week, I have the quiz on my podcast. You can see where you fall if you're in group A, B, or C. So you can do that. And then my 4th Monday of every month, we have a follow-up on just like where you're at. And because I just want to keep supporting you in that process. Okay, so does anyone have any questions? Oh my goodness, there's so much I'd love to say. And really, if you think that just this webinar, you got so much out of it, can you even imagine what would happen if you were in my program, if you had access to me all this time? Like, truly, I want you to ask yourself that. So does anyone have any questions? By the way, I see you. I am so excited that you're here on this call. I love seeing your names. I love seeing women that I've been working with for so long. They come to everything that I do, which is super fun. I see you who I don't know, and I'm excited to get to know you. So please feel free to ask any questions that you might have. All right. So we just have 1 minute left. You can ask me any questions. If you have questions that you don't want to put in the chat that you want to ask me personally, the best way to get a hold of me is dara@darathomason.com. That is my email, and you can email me anything. I do encourage you to go check out my podcast. If you aren't on my email list, please let me know. I can get you on my email list. I have an incredible program. It's a 5-day training that women have lost 20, 30 pounds on just in that way. So you want to get on that. Also, you get all the replays for my free trainings. You get all the links. You always get first dibs at things. So I would like to invite you to do that. All right, ladies, you are amazing. Ask me any question you want, Dara@darathompson.com. Also, go to my Instagram. I've been making these reels lately, and they are so much fun. And they're so, like, you're going to get some really great tips and tricks from them. And you really will be able to start understanding what it's all about to love yourself thin. All right, take care, everyone. Bye-bye.